When you play the Game of Thrones, you
Subscribe and like.
or you die. There is no middle ground.
All right, hello, welcome back to the Eric Reviews YouTube channel. In today's video, it's going to be like a minimized review video of what I did earlier in the week, or I guess last week, whenever this comes out. But I want to talk about the positives and negatives of episode 3, specifically of the Percy Jackson show so far. And again, I want to point this out. This is spoilers up to those first 3 episodes, and also, this stuff is subject to change, right? Things that I like, I might not like by episode 4, episode 5, but this is what we're going to talk about for these first 3 episodes, or things I maybe not like right now. They could definitely fix those things by the end of the show, right? That's all subject to change, but that's why I like doing it, episode to episode, because I'll look at things and go, oh, throughout the season, this got better, or this got worse, or, maybe just it didn't change at all, right? So I want to do this, and we're going to look at the positives and the negatives. So let's start off with the positives, sing the praises of the show in episode 3. So the first major positive, the thing I was the happiest about in this episode, was the depiction of Medusa. I liked the change. I liked giving this idea that, okay, we already know that this is going to be Medusa. We've seen this over and over again. As soon as you see statues as a Greek mythology show or movie, it's Medusa. So why have our characters act like, oh, we don't know who this is? Let's just get straight into it. And what that allows is you don't have to build up the scene of this reveal that it's Medusa. When we already know it's Medusa, our characters are going to probably realize this is Medusa. Let's just hop into it. Let's build up the character of Medusa. And I loved that. And I think Medusa being able to mirror a lot of our characters in the story with it, whether that's Annabeth or whether that's Percy, is really great because Medusa's background connects directly with those two characters. And I love that one thing they're doing is they're making sure they do their callbacks and they're staying consistent with their themes, right? If we go back to episode 1, the big theme right there with Sally and Percy, my favorite scene of the entire show so far, on the idea that we shouldn't be judging people off of what they look like, right? It's about what the person is actually about. That's what makes them either a monster or a hero or whatever. And so they play on this exactly with the character of Medusa, right? And so I love that they make Medusa more sympathetic. We understand Medusa quite a lot more. And then you pull the rug out that this is, it's still a monster, right? This is someone we can understand, but it's still not a good person, a good being or monster or whatever. And that's what kind of leads to that big old fight happening. I love what they did with that. I think that was a very good change. And I loved the actress that played Medusa as well. She did a fantastic job. And in my opinion, outside of maybe Percy and Sally, so far, one of the best written characters of the show, in my opinion. Another thing I liked about episode 3, I liked that at least in episode 3, we started giving more things for Grover to do, actually building him up as a character. I liked the little plot line with his uncle, because it was great because it shows, again, Grover's following the footsteps of his uncle and what he will have to do, right? In the threat of danger, in the threat of death, he needs to be someone that's not scared. He is someone that has to be brave. And that's something that's great. I think it works really well in the story. And to me, I've had my gripes in episode 1 and 2 about Grover's development and some of the plot lines they've taken away from his character that have made him much more dull and not much of a character. They started to unveil that in this episode, actually building him up as a character. And that's one of the things I really, that's interesting. Like when I'm doing these videos each week, talking about the positive and negatives, I'm going to give them praise when they start to fix those issues that I had earlier on. And that's what's great about these week videos, or every week videos. So when we look at that, that was done pretty good. I think we're heading in the right direction. Him being the force that has to settle the differences between Annabeth and Percy, really good. We also, in one of the scenes before the Medusa stuff, start to unveil that, Grover was the satyr or the searcher with Annabeth, Thalia, and Luke. That was good. I wish I would have gone more because we don't really get to see Percy's reaction. We don't get to see that whole thing develop. So hopefully that's something that they build up on in the future because that was laid there. But that was good. I really enjoyed that. I thought the visuals in this episode were fantastic. All of the stuff, especially with Medusa's lair and the whole way Medusa's like little garden or place looked, fantastic. They nailed that visually. I really enjoyed that. I think the actual character of Medusa, when she actually went into attack mode, looked very good. I think the Furies looked pretty good. Again, everything visually was really good. I thought the music in this episode pretty good. I didn't have any complaints. I thought the chilling like horror music they did when Medusa starts attacking them, fantastic. I think Percy, the actor that does Percy, did a very good job in this episode. I want to give him his flowers. He did a fantastic job. His facial acting for such a young age is fantastic. He has a very bright future ahead of him. So I wanted to give him some praise. I thought Annabeth's dagger is very important to the story. Looked very good. I think they nailed that. Very good idea, or very good job there. And yeah, I think that's the main positives. I'm not going to go down a single thing. If you want to see more of my real thoughts on the episode, I would check out my episode review I did on Friday. But let's head into some of the negatives things, or things I'm still not sure about or questionable. Again, these are things that maybe I just dislike in the show. It could also be things that I just don't know where they're going with this yet. So it's in this kind of questionable like area. So the biggest thing I took away from this episode that I'm still not on board with, I still don't like, is the depiction of Annabeth. So far through these first 3 episodes, they have yet to really sell me that this is the character of Annabeth from the books. And I get you're going to change the character to fit the show. They've done that with Grover already. But the thing with Grover is you can still see that they're building towards that actual character of Grover. And it doesn't seem like anything blatantly against the character of Grover. Like there is like things here and there, like him betraying Percy in episode 1. Wasn't a big fan of that. But they're slowly starting to get into, I think, some really interesting ideas with the character of Grover. Annabeth, they haven't done that yet. Like, they've introduced a lot of her backstory, which can be interesting, but the problem is it's through other characters. And every time the character of Annabeth is on screen, it's really just her being antagonizing Percy or talking down to him. Annabeth really comes off as the thing that Percy hates, a bully to Percy. And I know, for certain people, they buy Annabeth and Percy more than others. I am not one of those people. I very much dislike what we're getting from the character of Annabeth, and that's not to put that on the actress. I don't think it's, her bad acting or anything like that. I think she's a good actor. I think what they're giving the character is just not good with the actual representation of the character in the book. And again, if you want to hear my real in-depth thoughts, I would look at my episode 1 and 2 and episode 3 in-depth reviews, because we talk about this quite a lot, me and my friend Logan, in episode 1 and 2. He will be back for episode 4, just had some technical issues for episode 3. I'm not a fan of it. I don't buy the character. I don't find anything interesting with this character, and I actually kind of resent when this character is on screen. So that's really disheartening for me personally. I didn't want that to be something going into this show, because Annabeth is my favorite character. I wanted to see her done well after the movie didn't do such a great job of that. And yet I'm not really bought in 3 episodes. So hopefully episode 4 starts to, take that real leap into the actual character of Annabeth. And, where this episode ended, I think, it's built on maybe that could happen in the future. So this would be something I come back and review and go, I buy it now. So that was one of those things that was kind of a major glaring thing. Another thing, I didn't like the intro to this episode. I think, for me personally, having Gabe kind of do this goofy delivery of the prophecy, it's kind of supposed to be almost like a Marvel comedy, didn't strike me well, because this is supposed to be a very suspenseful scene. You're getting a prophecy that's very foreboding and has a lot of foreshadowing to the main story and how, this season's going to end. It's very important, and it just doesn't come off the right way for me, tone-wise, for this episode specifically. Another thing I do want to put in the positives, I kind of, we're bouncing back and forth here, but I do want to say I liked the idea of the main theme of this episode being trust. I thought the way they executed that well with the end of it was very well done. I really liked that part of it, so just kind of giving back that part of it. The next thing I really noticed is I definitely can tell that there was either a budget issue, or because of the pacing, because of we only have 8 episodes for this first season, they have really been, skipping or at least drawing down a lot of our battle scenes, like the stuff with Medusa and like the battle with the Fury on the bus, as well as the bus explodes in the book. A lot of that has been kind of taken away, and I don't know if that's budgeting or the lack of time. Either way, that's been kind of a letdown, but to me personally, it's not a big deal, right? Because you kind of get what you're supposed to get, right? You have these fights still there. It's just not as drawn out, not as cool as it is in the book. And that kind of leads me, I guess, to my last thing. I think the actual execution of the killing of Medusa, I think, was a little clunky in my opinion. I think it's questionable. It's not bad, right? To me, it's like, it's one of those things where I'm like, I get why they did it because they're in a difficult spot, right? Because if you do it the way the movie and the book did it, it's like, okay, we've seen this a couple times now. Maybe a viewer might get bored or expect what's going to happen. And so you don't do the reflection thing. Like, you don't have a shield or anything like how it is in the book or the movie. How the movie did it with, like, I think an iPod or something. But you go with this whole other idea where Annabeth puts her invisibility cap on Medusa's head and then Percy cuts her head off. I think there's some clunky things there. I know, you know, it's been a kind of a divisive thing from what I've seen online. It's been like, okay, some people like it, showing Annabeth's strategy, and other people are like, this is gonna, they're kind of like in my camp where it's like, don't know if that, I think what happens in the book or what happens in the movie makes a lot more sense and is a little bit closer to the actual mythologies and legends of killing of Medusa. But I don't know, I'd like to hear your opinions on that one, because I think that's definitely a questionable one for me personally. But that is really my positives, negatives, questionable things. If you guys have any more, whether that's positive, negative, or you're questioning it going into episode 4, put it down in the comments. And I'm excited for episode 4. You know, we're really starting to dive into the plot. We're starting to see our relationships start to, you know, thicken or maybe get more development with that. And I'll see you guys all for episode 4's review on Friday or Saturday, depending on when I get it up. And also we'll be doing another one of these for episode 4. So subscribe for more Percy Jackson content. And I'll see you guys in the next